Welcome to Tech Talk Live. It's Tuesday, April 8th, 6 p.m. here in Los Angeles.
And 9 p.m. in the DMV. I'm Samuel Giacinto.
And you're listening to Tech Talk Live. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, Tech Talk
Yes.
Live loves Before Sunset AI. Before Sunset AI makes AI your superhero. Use code Tech Talk Live, get 3 months free, and conquer your conquests. Before Sunset AI. Lots to
Absolutely.
talk about this
Well,
week. We got to talk about
so,
coding and AI, right?
well, with Cursor, especially today, they've surpassed 1 million users. That is quite an achievement, isn't it?
A little bit, right? And to kind of think again, we are 2 years and change into this whole AI revolution. And there are a million knowledge professionals who are using this technology now. And not only using it, I mean, Cursor is integrating it completely. You have sort of an agentic testing slash kind of it's getting smarter and smarter to the point of you don't even have to really prompt it to fix an error or an issue anymore. It's able to really do kind of the basics as far as debugging goes. To be honest, I have to dust it off again and try it. I mean, there's very active with the updates.
Yeah.
So it's tough to keep up with all the different AI tools. I know we've talked about Replit before. We've talked about Cursor. We've talked
There's
about
Windsurf, there's CodeMate, there's a lot of them, and they're growing all the time. There's Lovable, there's Bolt, there's V0. There's quite a few. And also, one thing that's getting a lot of attention is the Model Context Protocol. So you can use the MCP to give context to the large language model. Therefore, it's not, potentially making as many errors. It knows, your tools, your database. It knows programming languages. So you can now more simply give it information, where it can follow step by step and, do a lot more. It's still, I will say though, it's still not like easy to do this. Like it to build an app with AI is still not like, it's not an easy process. Like you can do a lot of prototyping, but eventually it does come down to, you need to authenticate users. Maybe it can do part of that, but then if you've got a really custom integration, I mean, because look, at the end of the day, apps are just automating what you could do yourself in a simpler way. Take for example an AI note taking app, right? Where it's recording. You could record by
sure, yeah,
yourself and then you could transcribe it by yourself and then put it through an LLM by yourself. But let's say the app records and then as soon as it's done recording, it's got your end result. So it just combined like 5 steps into one, and now it has it stored in its safe database where you can export, and and so you take this app, right, that now transcribes, puts it through some AI magic, and then outputs a nice clean note, right? You could do that yourself. You really could. You could take it, your voice memos, and you can put it in. But I think apps are all about making things simpler for people. I'm looking right now at a flight tracking app, Flighty. Sadly, the one that I liked, stopped working uh, last year. So anyway, this is an alternative to like TripIt. It's like a travel app where again you put all your travel documents. It sends you notifications. It sends you alerts. You can keep your boarding pass and all your travel itineraries and booking confirmations in one place. So it's not really doing anything that you couldn't do with your email. You could make a separate folder for your trip, and you could have a note with everything there. But I think that these apps make things a little bit more it makes it a little simpler, where you can, instead of googling the flight status or looking on FlightAware, it's taking that data. So that's all really any app does. Okay, like it's just putting everything and automating steps so that you don't have to do that. And it's AI is getting easier, but I still don't think it's fully there yet to build
Well, you
an
bring
app
up,
entirely with AI.
yeah, it's not, well, obviously the integration, and this kind of remains a common theme really throughout information technology in general, right? It's getting systems to communicate with each other. And MCP seems to be, as the name implies, kind of a protocol for different large language models to communicate, and kind of share controlled access to data, whether it be a Git repository or a file system, or documents themselves. And it's a step in the right direction to kind of saying, well, we have Model X that's great at maybe programming tasks, and Model Y that's great at you know uh, embedding or references to like chunks of text in a document. So linking those two together, is and kind of in perhaps the same way DeepSeek works, by only activating the portions of the model that are required. You can have a multi-model solution, where there are strengths and weaknesses to, at least at this point, right, different large language models. And they're able to kind of communicate with each other in kind of a meaningful way, versus trying to pass plain English queries between them, which may more or less could lose information or context. Hence, taking us back to the name, model context protocol. But kind of that's my best understanding of it. Doing a little bit of a dive into it, and quite. I mean, it's already being used. I mean, it's being used by Box, Grafana, Elasticsearch. Even Kagi has a search um, API that you can use with the model context protocol. So kind of a cool, um, kind of a cool, it's quite interesting. I don't know. I mean, it's
This is just another example, I think, really, of how AI is becoming more relevant, but it really needs to listen, because I think your average user can't build a fully functional app without understanding how to have AI code its database. And I still think we bring up abstract terms like model context protocol, like, okay, well, what is this? Well, if you want to build an app, you're going to need to have a basic understanding of how the model context protocol can apply to your project in terms, therefore maybe you're not repeating yourself as often if there's a specific coding language that you're trying to get it to work with, right? And so I think there's a lot of information that is at your fingertips. But yeah, I think I not to go off too much on a tangent, but I feel like with Kagi, I don't really. I mean, they're a search engine. They incorporate AI, but I'm not familiar with what you're talking about. I mean, it seems like when you say they have an MCP feature, it's like, okay, well, so does that mean that people can you
well,
use Kagi to
maybe
code
this will
yourself
break it
an app?
down. Let's see.
Like I'm
Um,
not following that part. So even this is confusing to me when, gosh, I mean, they've got a million users, I think, because people that, a lot of people want to use these tools to help them code. But I think, and a lot of companies are expecting you to do it, but there's still a long
well,
way to go.
So this is what the MCP kind of does essentially. You have your application, right? And let's say Kagi is our remote service, right? It's our search, it's our search provider. So essentially by running individual model context protocol servers, we can sort of integrate and connect with different services. Um, you know, essentially, we can have a local data source or like a document store, right? And we can, query Kagi, about something in our local document store, or we can have a local LLM to, break down, I don't know, do maybe image recognition within the, you know, document retrieval, or augmented retrieval of our local documents. So it allows you to kind of, it's an abstraction layer on top of, because before you would just say, okay, I'm going to use OpenAI's API, and that's just one provider. That's one internet provider. But this kind of allows you to create your own app, hook it up to multiple servers that have essentially pre-built integrations for data and remote services. So that's kind of, and to kind of give you an example, right? Again, like GitHub, you have even Google Drive, Google Maps, so it can plug into a lot of these, and there's even more official integrations as well. But it's a really it's quite a neat, I mean, even has a Kubernetes, but I don't know if that makes any more or less sense. But I think that diagram really helped me kind of understand a bit more about, it's kind of abstracting away the need to have yourself hook up to every one of these services like individually,
I
with your
see.
app. I don't know. It's like a universal. It's like a USB port for AI essentially.
Interesting. Yeah, I think it's still a grand concept for fully, like, or actually implementing it. So I think it's, for me, I understand what it does and how it's important, but it's like, okay, well, I guess, yeah, play around with the actual tool on their website and connect everything you need to. So yeah, I just feel like every tool has its own workflow, whether you're using like are you I don't know if you're familiar with Zapier or make.com. These are sort of no code automation tools where you connect them with pretty much any app out there, whether it's like a webhook or something. And yeah, you can do a lot of cool things kind of to automate one service to another,
Yeah,
and
this
yeah,
let's see. This reminds me of UiPath. I don't know. Do you remember?
I don't. I don't.
I know the dang. I know. So UiPath was kind of. I remember hearing about them pretty early on, but they were kind of really big in sort of the agentic community. It's kind of interesting. I'll kind of have to see kind of where they're at right now, because they're certainly charging quite a bit of money. Um, so essentially, their automated developer um, goes for $420 a month. So it's a pretty high price point, and I think
Hmm.
open source. I mean, I don't I don't really know what essentially they offer over. I mean, it's all in the integration, I think.
Mhm.
Um, and just
Well, another thing, AI related, I think is interesting to note is, are you familiar with OpenRouter? Because OpenRouter has gotten a lot of attention lately for, again, kind of like aggregating all AI's together into one interface. And so,
Well, yeah,
um,
OpenRouter is pretty cool because it allows you can select your model and essentially load credits into it, if I understand correctly.
I don't actually fully understand that myself either. I always thought you had to load your account with credits to that way you had the privilege of using uh OpenRouter. I don't think you're using OpenRouter's API keys. You need to put all of your own API keys. So OpenRouter is really just providing the interface. That's really it. They're really just providing kind of the interface to do it. Is what it seems like. So yeah.
Yeah, I haven't used it in a minute. I remember using it with continue.dev. I guess it's kind of it's an open source version of Cursor, essentially.
I see.
But yeah, you essentially pay for your own, any models, any context, any, um,
Mhm.
but it's, it's a little, I guess it's I don't, I guess they also have a paid option as well now. So I don't really understand the differences between.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's complicated. OpenRouter, I have always just kind of felt like they take your API keys and you can set parameters, and then OpenRouter sends it to another place. Like it quite literally routes your AI request to whatever model's capable, or you can set other parameters. So it is a pretty interesting tool, but I mean, I also think for discovering models, don't forget, I think it's a big deal for people. So, but anyway, well, we should move on. I think if you're ready to talk about our next story.
Well, I wanted to talk about the Wired survey real quick.
Oh,
This
sure.
time I sent you first, and basically what this is Wired went out and surveyed 730 knowledge professionals throughout their
Mm,
early career, the mid-level, experienced, and just kind of various sizes of companies. 3 in 4 have tried AI. The vast majority use it at least once a week, with about a fifth using it most, if not all, the time.
mm. Okay.
Um, and it's, you know, essentially, people are relatively split between those who are optimistic or pessimistic about the technology. Um, Early career folks are a tad more optimistic, mid career folks are a tad more pessimistic, and surprisingly, those with more than 20 years of experience. So, kind of when I'm stepping through, it's 0 to 10 years for early, 10 to 20 for mid level, and 20 plus years for experience. The experienced folks are in a dead heat. They are almost exactly tied between optimists and pessimists of the technology. Um, it's which is kind of strange. I mean, it's the mid-career folks who have the most apprehension, but it kind of seems like I guess half of employers pay for AI services themselves, and 2/3 of employees use them if they pay for, I guess, the services. With most people using a browser interface or IDE to interact with the AI.
Yeah. Hmm.
Um,
So does this surprise you that you would have thought more people would have used an app, or what? What is surprise? What do you get out of this survey?
well, I think it's so. Number one is that we have a ton of market penetration, right? A lot of people are using this technology for better or worse. And as an employee, it's kind of a catch 22, right? If you don't use it, you will be adapted over. But if you do use it, you risk the chance of essentially automating yourself, right? I mean, you're using it on your data, you're training it with your actions, and you're using it to do your job presumably well, right? So it's, but if you don't use it to do your job well, then you may not have a job. But the same thing, the same tool that you are using could be, from a career standpoint, deadly to you. So it's kind of I think I'm not shocked that a lot of people are using it necessarily, but it is something where I think it will be, in the future at least. I don't know if this is kind of the tipping point between where, because again, like 3 in 4 people have tried it, and of these people, a vast majority. Now, it doesn't specify what that necessarily means, but to me, that's
Mm-hmm.
more or less around 3/4 of 3/4. Um,
Mm-hmm. True.
so, I mean, that's, you know, again, that's pretty. I mean, that's 9/16 if I'm if I can do
Well,
math.
so
But
so
it's
a lot, yeah. I mean, a lot of people are going to use AI to enhance what they do. I mean, I think we know this. I think the big question to ask is, will people be willing to pay for AI, or the advertising industry is probably going to find a way to and enter AI, and so I think right now we've been I mean, people are used to paying for Netflix. People are used to, getting Google for free. Okay. I mean, I think it's about time where people realize we talk about it a lot, but your data is not free, right? I mean, it's not at all. And so I think that, at the end of the day, you're paying with your attention. And so if you're going to be using, ChatGPT to get, you know, answers instead of going to Google, well, some people are going to have a problem with that, and Google is going to be, upset with that. And of course, you see them with Gemini and all this stuff. But I think
yeah,
I don't.
yeah,
I kind of see people going to ChatGPT instead of Google as the first step in kind of saying we've had enough and taking their data back. In the sense of they're not giving their search information to Google. Now, look, yes, OpenAI might turn on some switch one day and start advertising in ChatGPT, and they know it, right? I mean, it wouldn't be that hard to have a banner at the top promoting some product, right? That some advertiser's paying to be there. And then you have to pay to not see ads. And I think that's very likely. I don't know, I mean, yeah, people are not always willing to pay for a search engine like Kagi. People, I mean, I think we're kind of to the place now where people are used to paying for cable or Netflix or something. Believe it or not, before this, you would turn on your TV and over the air, you did not have to pay a subscription. But yeah, there were ads, and cable promised to not have ads. I mean, I guess at some point they promised that there were going to be different services and there was some benefit to paying for cable to come to your house, but that was not always, the case, and so I think now people are used to subscribing for entertainment like Netflix and Hulu and Max. And so
yeah.
I think, but now, you see Netflix having ads. So I don't know. I guess it doesn't surprise me that many people have used AI and liked it. I think a lot of people, of course, you'd like it. It gets your answer faster without any ads. I mean, even like the rabbit, I know we joke about it, but like that thing, you ask it a question and it gives you an answer in a few seconds and reads it to you. Like
Does it work?
that's better than Google. That doesn't summarize the pages or read it to you. If you're busy doing something, I mean, look, it's a simple ChatGPT. I mean, if people like ChatGPT and they want a simple ChatGPT device. I mean, yes, it's another silly device, but again, we're talking about
I wonder
like
if it's like
AI.
Google and that is it right half the time.
Is Rabbit or what? Just AI
Well,
in
yeah.
general?
I remember we asked it to do the exact same thing as the demo on air 6 months after it came out, and it got like a 3 out of 6 or something. It was it was
Yeah.
close to passing. I don't know, um, but
Yeah.
maybe we should revisit it. I don't know, is because I guess is the rabbit dead? Um,
I don't think so. I actually think they're doing well. I mean, look, I think it has a time and place. If you're in the middle of doing something, but I think if you're in the middle of doing something, right, like you don't have the time to use your phone to scroll through and read websites, okay? If you just want a simple answer, ask, the rabbit something. I mean, again, you're pushing a button, so it focuses on only, you know, listening to you when you push the button. And I just think that at the end of the day, there's a time and place. If you're in the middle of something, you want to quick, you're cooking or you're cleaning or I don't know, you're doing something, where you can't really be scrolling on your phone. I think it's not a bad situation to ask a device like Rabbit. Look, I understand Gemini Live is also here. OpenAI with what ChatGPT Plus. I think they also have the O1 where it speaks to you and you can have a conversation with it. So I mean, look, I think that it's not like Rabbit is the only one. Okay, I mean I understand this. So I think there's more to the story, right? Like I think, you know, is the Rabbit the best device build quality? No. Is it the best LLM? No. But is it a simple device for you to get answers when you need answers? And you don't want to pick up your phone and scroll through websites, or have to read it yourself. And you want a free or not free LLM, but a no subscription required LLM that's probably a little bit better than your basic chat GPT that's free, that's an app, and so I
well,
think eventually,
something you may have to try, and then I guess I only interrupt you because this came out last week actually. But Rabbit OS Intern, I don't know if you have this on the device, but apparently it allows you to coordinate multiple agents to
Mhm.
accomplish. I don't know if you have the latest version,
Mhm.
but I mean, it could be. I mean, I don't know. Like, it may be kind of that benefit of, um, I guess it came out 6 days ago, but it introduces planning, research, and coding capabilities. Released as a free trial for a limited time.
Interesting. Yeah, see, they're always adding
So
interesting
something to
things,
consider. I
right?
don't know. I mean, we are talking about it dying. It got a software update a week ago.
Well, so this is
So
interesting. It's a native operating system coordinates multiple, try for free for a limited time.
yeah,
But that
yeah,
means that you need to have the Rabbit, right? Like, is it they're going to start charging the users
maybe. I mean,
now? Is
they
that what?
could. I mean, it could be a subscription. Honestly, I'm honestly shocked. I'm shocked it doesn't require a subscription.
The Rabbit, yeah.
But I would again, yeah, try it for free. At least the new
Yeah, it's
operating
interesting.
system. I think. I mean, I don't know. Like, I mean, go ahead and download it now. I don't. Maybe we can ask it a question. I don't know how long it takes to install, but
I mean, I think it's just the web interface. I don't think Rabbit OS. I think it's like Perplexity. I don't think this is. I don't know. I mean, Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, but look, I think there's time and place for everything. I mean, they sell a simple device without a subscription. They probably utilize your data to understand what their users are doing so they can build a better, program, right? A better platform. But look, I think at the end of the day, like it's simply just what is the best tool for the job. And look, I think you don't always want to go on your phone and scroll through websites. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's the best AI ever. I'm just saying if you don't want to, if you're on your computer and you have a quick question, again, like it's an LLM. So ask it a question that's complicated and it's going to understand your question and give you pretty accurate information, I think, that most people would trust. So, yeah, I mean, I think there's a time and place for it. But anyway, yeah, I think AI, like when people say that, it means a lot of different things. I mean, it doesn't only mean ChatGPT. Does it mean Cursor? Does it mean Replit, Windsurf? What does it mean? Does it mean Midjourney, creating images? What does it mean, Sora? What are we talking about here? There's a lot of different tools. Flux, of course, is a interesting image model. I think a lot of people don't know how to do video. Pika is interesting, and Runway. They've got great image and video generators. So
And then
again, all using generative AI.
well, I sound like a broken record saying this, but again, we're 2 years, past AI videos looking like absolute crap. So I mean, it's again, I keep saying that because it's like the period of time is so like I don't know if we've ever um I don't know if we've ever existed really through any point of humanity in general where something was essentially more or less reinvented every month. I mean, in like a somewhat substantial way. I mean, because I would argue that there are quite a bit of advancements you know every month. You know, um, with AI, and I don't think there's ever been technology where this this has happened. I don't really know like this quickly. Um,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to rack my brain because even at the dawn of the internet, I mean, maybe from like 1995 to 1997 or something.
Yeah.
Um, but like I'm just trying because I wasn't like obviously cognizant for it, but I mean I remember growing up in the early 2000s and it was still a pretty breakneck pace of innovation and just sort of one year you had the Pentium 3 and then the next year you had the Athlon X2. I mean that was like incredible because it was like twice as fast. But yeah, I don't the thing with AI is that the functionality is improving like 1x, 2x, 4x. It's exponentially like much like the processing power of a computer, the functionality of it is now improving kind of in that way. Um,
Yeah.
so
Well, I
I
think
don't
again, a lot of this comes down. I mean, look, it's not fully there yet, but also I think it doesn't have to be because it also depends. A lot of people use AI for prompting or visualizing something. And so I think a lot of it is like, all right, I this is what I want to do with my music video. Let's go and, create an AI version. That way people, who you're working with can better understand. And I think we've seen that storyboard tool Catalyst, I think, is an excellent example of that. You can upload your whole script, storyboard with visuals every scene, and then you can even make little you know AI videos of the scenes. I mean, and again, this is just to visualize for your cast, your crew, your production team. And I think it depends. Like Runway, their plans start at $15 a month, which is not that much. But again, if you're just going to pay $15 every month and not use the tool for something that's going to bring you value, why pay for it? But if you're going to make videos, or honestly, if you are a content creator making videos, I think it's an excellent tool in your toolbox, especially if you're making money with it, because then now you've got an AI tool where you can create unique individuals only for you. Like no one else is going to have what you have. You just prompted your shot to be exactly what you want. And I think that's what's interesting. Like it's no longer, you can create your own background music. You don't have to, even license that anymore. AI, you can, type out prompts and get a completely fresh image or a completely fresh, song or something. And I think it depends how people are using it. That really depends if it brings them value. Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah. And I guess it's like there's so much uncertainty. It's like that's it, because it's like because I mean I couldn't have predicted this 2 years ago. I was just sort of like maybe it would have been marginally better, but not like 16 times is better.
Oh yeah.
I mean that's what's just tough. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what's just tough to
Well, anyway,
wrap your head around. I don't know. It's it's interesting to be a witness to it, if not a little frightening, but in the best way possible, right? That's why we talk about it.
oh yeah. No, I mean, I think it really depends. And I mean, even you see, we should move on to our next story about Amazon
Yeah, something a
overhauling the
little
haul. I mean, I think it
something a
just,
little better, right? A little lighter.
yeah. I mean, look, Amazon, look, I just think everything's changing. AI is changing, AI is evolving. So is Amazon, and so is Temu, and so is all Sheen and all these other stores and platforms that have benefited from, before the tariffs. And so I think now, with the tariffs, they're really, not tolerating anymore cheap products from China come over and undercut, everything else. And so I think Amazon had launched Haul. So the news is really just that Amazon Haul no longer is only for products under $20. They now have more expensive brands that you might recognize, not just
Yeah, so
unlabeled products. So,
yeah, and so this is, and to kind of give some context, because I've honestly, thank goodness, avoided to stay off of this garbage, but Amazon Haul is a Temu copycat. Ultra cheap products in exchange for longer shipping times, is beginning to ship some products from warehouses in the US. And again, as Jack said, increase the price, right? The under $20 is now becoming under 40, so on and so forth. And this is essentially, not to get too into the weeds, but the de minimis rule. Essentially, all packages under $800 can enter the U.S. duty free. So that's why there's been a proliferation of all this cheap junk, kind of flooding the market, per se. Yeah, I mean, it's again like I would just challenge people to be like, try foregoing this app for a week and see how you feel. I had never heard of it until tonight, and honestly, I don't think I will really any of these Haul, Shine, Temu, AliExpress. It's just not. It's probably not good for you. Okay,
Yeah. No, it's low quality good.
It's not
Now
good
listen, I will tell you that there are some things you can't screw up. I will say this. There are some things like maybe a
No, I
dog
am
blanket.
curious. Like a dog blanket. Okay.
Like, okay, how does Temu screw that up? I'm sorry, but that would be 10 times more expensive on Amazon. Do you see what I mean? Like, these
Well,
are the things where it's like Temu does have, a race to the bottom in that sense. Do you know what I mean? Like, because how do
so
you screw
what?
up a dog blanket? It's meant to be a soft little fleece. It's not trying to be the most excellent quality, handcrafted blanket, hand woven, hand whatever. Like, come on, it's a dog blanket. Like, how can you screw that up? Just like how can you screw up socks other than making them thin and really, really, really thin? You know. So I do think
Well,
there still
so
is a
so here's
place.
the deal. Um, I think a lot of it has to deal with the. So it's not just the quality of product, right? But also the harmfulness of a product, right? Sometimes like yeah, a dog blanket. You're right. Like how would you screw that up?
Yeah.
Um, you know, things can really. I mean, there could be all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's and I guess to kind of take this back and not necessarily from a U.S. history standpoint, but before there were the reason why there's tags on mattresses that state this cannot be removed except by the final consumer and
Mm-hmm.
states the content of said mattress was that I mean these guys were just stuffing old burlap sacks, trash, just all kinds of junk into the mattress as long as it was kind of soft. They could sell it. So there really was no like, and with the dog blanket, right? Like, you're right. Like, it doesn't really matter. Like, the dog, could tear it up, but you'd also have the expectation that it wouldn't harm your pooch, and it wouldn't contain
But
any
also,
toxic.
what can they put in? It's
Um,
just fabric. Like the colors, I don't know. Like,
Formaldehyde. I mean,
I
or
don't
any
know.
sort of preservative, or there are tons of dyes and chemicals used to treat things that are not good for anybody. They're cheap, you know. Like formaldehyde's cheap. Fiberglass is cheap. I mean, it's not good for anybody, but you can certainly make a nice little fluffy. You can make a fluffy blanket with it
Yeah.
until you wash and dry it. It's going to be nice and fluffy, but then when you
Yeah.
dry it, it just aerosolizes little glass needles that your dog breathes in. It's just like so it's. I mean, I had a good friend who's really infant child. They had a mattress cover that they washed, and a common no name brand mattress cover fire suppressant is fiberglass because it's cheap and fire doesn't burn it. But when you wash it, you get
Mm.
fiberglass dust all over your house. So 2 weeks later, and after throwing out all his furniture and rugs, he's mitigated the fiberglass. But they do it because it's like they can sell the mattress with the little disclaimer of "Don't wash your cover." And it's like, well, that's kind of stupid. Like, you probably want to wash your mattress cover, right? Like, life happens, especially when you have children. So it's like, I don't know. It's just very like the race to the bottom will. Again, you have a point, right? Some things it is harder to screw up a dog blanket. It's not a precision grade appliance that needs
Like
to
if
be
you are going to go on Amazon Haul, yeah, or you're going to go on Temu, like, because they might have better prices even with the tariffs. I don't know. Like, maybe they do. Maybe they'll, I don't know, somehow be super cheap still. Uh, I just think you have to know what you're buying. You have to look at it. You have to really, like, I'm sorry. How do you screw up glass? How do you screw up a glass cup? Double walled glass teacup.
lead.
You don't. It's glass. mean, like,
No,
how do you screw it up?
they put
Oh,
lead in
look,
there.
it's not gonna have a brand on it. Yeah, it's not gonna maybe be the best crafted glass. It might not last as long as a more expensive brand. But I just think, like, I'm not defending it. I just think there is a time and place for certain products and brands.
Well, to answer, I mean, to answer your question about glass, it's like, lead is added to, to make it shinier, to make it more brilliant. Like a small amount of lead can make glasses appear more, more crystally, or more, So again, like,
Yeah.
it's lead's horrible. For most people. I mean, especially children, and
But you're
women of all
assuming it has
ages.
lead. So you're just
Um,
assuming every product has lead that's on Temu or Amazon Haul
um,
because they're
I,
not testing
I would
it.
say a
And then people,
non-trivial, and then this is not an accusation, but again, I mean, I would say if you went out and you bought 20, as you said, 20 glasses, I would say, at least two of them would contain lead, and so in a concentration that would be problematic to, because do you think there's any quality control for the toxicity and or harmfulness of these products? I mean,
I
there's
do
very
think
little on Amazon. Amazon has fought in court that they are a distributor and not a retailer of product. They're not responsible for the quality or efficacy of the products that they sell because they don't sell them at all. They're just a marketplace. So I mean, I don't have a ton of faith in, you know, a company that essentially claims that from their sort of low cost uh, alternative for
yeah,
retail. I mean, I'm sorry, but it's just sort of like, and that's, I mean, that's not even like that's, that's what they're arguing in court. That's how they're trying to essentially, it's like, and that lawsuit will probably be dropped because it's really okay to sell anything, and it's more of a buyer beware situation these days. Um,
yeah,
but it really is, just kind of, it's, yeah, again, it's buyer beware. And I hate to say it, but it's just sort of like you have to be careful with what you buy. And it's really like, if anything, it's like you're almost better off buying from a brand that has a lot to lose, just because they will bother to quality test their products. I mean, that's
that's
just
true.
kind of like, it's sad, but it's just sort of like, Amazon doesn't particularly care about the quality of the products. They care about moving the product.
Yeah, they're the
This
marketplace.
isn't like it's not rocket science. It's an adverse incentive. Like, Amazon is incentivized to sell product. They're not incentivized to make sure if the product's safe, because you can sell a lot of product and make a ton of money off of the percentage of sales and the advertising and all this other stuff,
The
before
logistics.
anyone
I mean, they're
notices,
almost,
right?
yeah, they're almost work today even a logistics company. I mean, it's really like fulfillment by Amazon. They've got their own delivery networks. I mean, really, like, they're almost, yeah, more fulfillment warehouse logistics services that, yeah, they want you to put your cheap products in their warehouse so they can charge you, to ship it and store it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, and then you are 100% right. And it becomes even more predatory when Amazon controls the logistics factor of it, because I mean, then they take a 60% cut. I don't know what the exact cut is. But it's, you know, it's tough. I mean, it's
yeah,
tough. I mean, it's not, it's tough to be a seller. Um, and, to kind of put that in perspective, is like, how many brands that you recognize still sell on Amazon?
Well, a
Right?
lot do. Well, because it's a logistics company. I mean, that's the thing. I think people just have
Like
to realize.
what do you want to buy? Like drill bits, right?
I don't think that's something many people are buying, but okay. So
Oh,
you're
okay.
gonna
Well,
look to see if
what do you want to buy? A dog blanket? You know?
care about the brand of the blanket. I mean, this has to your argument. You have to care about the brand. How about the Meta Quest 3? That's on Amazon, I think, and
No, I
that's
mean
not
that's
sold.
fair. I mean, it's but
How about the PlayStation 5?
I mean the power dynamic there is a little bit different. It's sort of because those are products where people could potentially not buy them on Amazon because is a PS5 not being available on Amazon really going to? No, you're going to find another way to buy it. Like you're not going to just be like, oh well, I can't buy a PS5. Like it's a relatively Amazon makes concessions certainly for like
Here's another one.
a PS5, but that doesn't stop a bunch of random junk from being sold alongside the PS5. That
Sure. Well, I will
you
say
know
this. A lot of times people, when they get a gift card or I mean, you know what I mean? Like sometimes you're like, "Oh, I want that." Or I'll say for food products. I mean, look, I'm not a huge supporter. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying if you need to get something quickly, you can find a lot of products on there. Cans of chicken, cans of tuna. You can get crackers on Amazon. You can get a lot of stuff on Amazon. I got plant fertilizer on Amazon. I mean, you can get a lot of stuff on there. And so I'm just saying it is a very useful place to buy things. Like it is a good I mean, yes, you need to
no,
do your due
it's
diligence.
very
Buy
convenient.
from
You're not wrong.
but I think
You're
I think
absolutely
people
not
should
wrong.
buy from reputable brands. That's the problem. Like, why are you like I do kind of see it the other way. Like, I know Amazon has a problem, but like Amazon Haul, they're not solving their problem by incentivizing lower price stuff to be on their platform, right? So like, I don't know what they're trying to do with Amazon Haul, and now they're overhauling the haul, but the buyer does need to look at their the buyer needs to know what they're buying.
Well, it's
Like, know
buyer
what you're
beware.
buying.
It's really like I mean
Yeah,
that's a nice way of saying buyer beware.
yeah.
You can't
I
really
mean, I
trust
do
what you're
kind of
buying.
think that's true. I mean, buyers do need to be aware of what they're buying. Like, I don't think that's like there's rocket science there. Sorry, but you know.
I mean, it's
Anyway,
just it's tough. Because as a consumer, I mean, like I don't, after working all day,
yeah.
like I don't want to have to, think about, um, what kind of dog blanket I want to buy. I just want to buy a blanket that's not gonna hurt me. I mean, it's just like
Well, then I would say
it's
go to
great.
a
And,
real retailer. Yeah,
I
go to a
understand.
real retailer then, like REI or
I
Walmart or
generally do. That's kind of what I do. Is like I'm, not to plug Costco, but like they have a logistics machine that does not tolerate products that are of inferior quality. I mean, they monitor what gets returned and they will not purchase from you again. And they're such a big buyer that they can demand people are
quality standard.
companies
Yeah,
fulfill their standard and sell quality product. And as a consumer, that's good for you because it's like you don't have to deal with the BS of like, oh, another blanket with lead in it. It's just sort of like, Costco is large enough to kind of do some due diligence and they just carry less products. So it's like it's
yeah.
a smaller portion of things to cover, but also to protect their brand. At least more so, it seems like, than Amazon. And that's why brand is important. It's not necessarily, oh, I need to buy, Tide detergent or my shirt won't smell good. It's more so like, I need someone who's going to stand behind their product because their brand is worth something. It's not just a
Yeah.
string of random characters like Bonobo or something on Amazon.
Amazon
It's like,
always has had a problem. I mean, they have. I mean, just like, I think every platform or every marketplace has a problem. I mean, even you see TikTok Shop. I mean, are they standing
Oh,
behind all their
yeah.
products? Or our last story about Instagram search and revamping their search to be more like TikTok. I mean, you could also buy products on Amazon, and Meta. I don't know if you've noticed that, but a lot of retailers are like on the Meta platform. So again, if you're a brand
Yeah.
that's on social media advertising, people can see an ad and buy directly from, I think it's like Shopify integration, but then Meta payments. You can store your payment information in Instagram, and then when you see an ad, up pops what you need. So,
Cha-ching.
but again, but is Meta vetting every single advertiser?
Oh,
No, they're
absolutely not.
not.
I mean, well,
I mean,
Meta's
like,
particularly bad. I mean, we've been through this time and time again, and honestly, maybe we should. I don't know if you're interested in reading the expose that came out.
yeah, let's do it.
And
How can we do
maybe
it?
we can have a little book club. But I mean,
Yeah.
there is a certain. I mean, there's a certain responsibility with carrying, carrying that amount of information and facilitating that amount of social interaction. Now, I guess it's easy to play armchair quarterback, but let's just say they often find themselves on the side of being a little bit too lax with the advertisement. Like, this isn't even a quote unquote free speech issue. This is we we don't want people to advertise things that are harmful. I mean, like, from like, this product will hurt you, so like cause you bodily harm. It's just sort of like, because it has lead in it, or something. I don't know, but
I mean, yeah, you should watch I mean, I get it. There are terrible brands, but like, again, if you're, yeah, look, even the cheap products should stand by the same quality, sadly, that the other brands are subject to. But that's not how things always work. So,
well, and I don't know, just the bare
it's
minimum.
not.
I mean, I'm just talking like, will not hurt you.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be good quality. It just has to be, it just needs to not be poison. But maybe that's a controversial opinion. I understand.
I
So
don't know. Yeah, it's a
we,
tough
we, we
one.
we can have it be buyer beware. Honestly, we could have it just be full on Wild West. Drink from your water glass, and if it makes you feel funny, it was your fault.
Buyer beware.
You
It's
should have
your
you should have bought
fault.
your lead test kit. Oh wait, how do you know your lead test kit's a real lead test kit, not a fake lead test kit? Oh, now you got to research your lead test kits. Well, I guess you can buy a lead test kit, but then you got to make sure your lead test kit is a. It's just like, do you see, like, anyway? Everything can be
Well,
faked.
that's why you have to buy from reputable brands. I mean, I don't know why this is rocket science all of a sudden. This should not have been something that had a debate. Like, you should buy from reputable brands, like people have been doing. And that doesn't mean not to try a new brand, but it means to be wary of Amazon's incentive, or what
Or just,
what is
yeah,
Instagram advertising?
yeah, like, who
You know, I think
gets the money? I think is a great question. Like, follow the money. Not even from a just who gets paid when you do something. And honestly, I
yes.
think you can kind of figure out a lot of things just by kind of following that down the line.
I know. I know. Oh, I don't know. I think it's just, yeah, a reminder to be conscious of what you're buying. And like you said, Costco is a better retailer, arguably, than Target and Amazon and Walmart, right? So where we shop and where we choose to shop, again, if you're going to give your money to Temu, you know, you're going
Just,
to
well, think about
probably,
it. Do you really need
yeah,
this widget? I mean, honestly,
you
I
don't.
don't know. I try and be a conscious consumer, Consume what you need.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
more
waste
people
not,
should.
whatnot.
I know. Well, this has been a great episode today, and I would say honestly, just voting with your wallet, right? I mean, about the products and the causes you care about, and yeah, it's a crazy world we live in. So anyway, we'll have to report. My prediction is Amazon Hall will be completely shut down soon enough. I can't.
Well, it's
I
got to
don't
be
think
like another. You remember AMP? It's another AMP.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. That Amazon backed that too. Yeah, it's like one of these projects they think's going to be doing good, and then we're not actually going to do that.
Just
Yeah.
kidding.
Eh,
We don't really want to.
we were kidding. Well, anyway, we're back every Tuesday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Don't forget, check us out on the web at techtalklive.xyz. Subscribe to our newsletter and stay updated. We're back. Subscribe anywhere you get your podcasts and submit your questions to us. If you ever have any topics or any concerns or think questions we should answer, we'll do our best to get to your so you can join the conversation. And until next week.
We'll do. Check out our spring buying guide dropping very soon on our website. Check out Before Sunset AI and subscribe to our mailing list, and we will be back next Tuesday.
Yeah, we will.